What is up, everyone? So today we're going to go over the Runcam Zoom Cam 4K edition, the 3D printed version I have here and the reasons why. We're going to go over its features, its price point, and whether or not you should purchase it, and some of the issues I have with it right out of the box. So let's get into this review and see what it's all about. So let's talk about what you get in the box before anything, okay? You get a user manual, okay? Get this nice foam cutout here. You get a charging cable, nicely placed, nicely done. Cheap. It's a cheap setup here that looks good. Okay, that's all you need, really. And your instructions are on the top. Okay, the box is heavy duty, so you could store it in there so you don't damage your own cam if you don't have it mounted to your weapon. Okay. So after that's out of the way, you may be wondering, hey, why do you have a 3D printed version of the Runcam 4K? Okay, this is a 16 millimeter lens, and you might be wondering why there's a mock-up of it. Okay, well, before I get into the issues and some of the things I like about this thing, let's talk about this 3D printed version. Okay. So I 3D printed something similar to the Runcam, okay? Directly, it's direct dimensions. I mean, everything's in place for the most part. Yep. So everything looks the same. Cutaways, everything. The buttons up here. One of the Picatinny rail mounts because one of them's adjustable, so I only printed one. The whole locations, everything is identical. Okay. What this is going to allow me to do is have a mock-up of the Runcam and make covers for it, 3D print covers, because as we all know, if you're out paintballing or airsofting, what ends up happening with the Runcam is you could potentially lose the glass, okay? Boom, it gets broken, you're screwed. You could take this off, replace it, whatever, but maybe a little bit hard to find this, okay? So what I was doing is I was 3D printing the Runcam, all its features, so I can make covers for it so you could replace the lens with plexiglass in the front, okay? So that way if it gets hit, it repels those impacts better, and not only that, it would make it a easy swap. If you get that lens damaged or scratched up, you could just pull it out, place it with the new one, okay? The other thing about having this 3D mock-up is the covers that go over it, you could also paint them, okay? So another thing is camouflage, you know, you don't want to paint your actual Runcam, but having the cover will allow you to paint it, okay? Another big issue was the charging port. How to keep the charger in there on a battery pack without damaging the charging port, okay? So that's going to be in the works too, part of the cover as well. So I'm going to try to fix some of the issues you all have with your Runcam, okay? This is a 16 millimeter version, so it's a little bit shorter on the muzzle here. So I need to find out the distance for the larger one so I could accommodate all of them, all right? The plan is to go and be able to have a slip over cover that pops over, spray paint it any color you want, swap out plexiglass lenses on the fly. Or I was also thinking about, I'm actually printing one right now, being able to run a GoPro lens where you could just twist the GoPro lens over your current setup and do it that way. The only issue is the GoPro lens setup is fairly expensive. They're like $20 a pop. You could probably get a knockoff for around $10, $15 a pop, but that's something else to consider. I mean, these things are couple $100, so you got to protect your investment. All right, so those are some of the things I'm considering right now in trying to create a production base cover. All right, so that's what this is for, nothing else. Okay, so it's a mock-up, and the reason why I need that is because I'm returning this, and I'll tell you why. So before I go into why, let's go over its features real quick, and then I'll compare it to the 16 millimeter lens at a certain distance compared to an iPhone, and then at a zoom distance on that iPhone to see what it looks like, okay? So you have your power button here, you have your power button here, you have a screw here that removes this whole section, that removes this lens, and then you have your actual eyepiece, which takes the video and stuff. So if this gets damaged, that's not the end of the world. The thing that you worry about the most is the lens behind that, okay? You have a blinking light here to tell you when it's on, okay? You have a blinking rim light, and then you have your battery light here. So this one in particular is a 16 millimeter lens, so that's your zoom distance. And then you have, it's in 4K, okay? 4K is nice because you could scale it down to 1080 and get higher frame rates, okay? You have your battery here when it's on, a mic here, and then you have a video record light when it's on, and then you have a micro USB back here. You have a crappy battery door. It sucks. Like, this battery door is crap. It's all plastic. You have a foam piece here, a tab there, a small tab, and then 2 tabs here that are super tiny. So those could potentially break at any given moment and your battery could fall out, okay? You have an area for a micro SD card, and you have this little tab you gotta fiddle with here. This little tab to get this battery out. If you got giant hands like I do, it's a little bit pain in the ass to get out, okay? So that's your little crappy battery. It's 3.4 watt hours, 3.7 volts, 850 mAh. It tells you right here, positive and negative, how everything lines up. Let me show you what it looks like a little up close, okay? So it's a crappy battery, it's real tiny, maybe an hour's worth of runtime. To be honest, I haven't even used it because I was disappointed in the product right away, okay? This whole housing's made out of plastic, and being the 4K model, it's like, what the heck are you guys doing? The 1080 model is all aluminum. Why aren't you making it aluminum, okay? Especially on an airsoft gun or a paintball gun. I mean, these things are gonna be used for, so it's like you want something that's gonna be more robust, so it doesn't make sense. You would think the plastic would have been their first revision, the metal or aluminum would have been their second revision. Okay, your Picatinny rail mount is all plastic. People have been saying that these have been breaking. It doesn't bother me much as far as this is concerned, because I was planning to remove this, grind it all off, take this camera apart, drill holes into it, and mount it flush on my M-LOK rail until I realized one issue. One issue in particular on running it with the gun is there's no way to adjust the horizontal plane of this camera. So like your, I think they're called drift cams, they actually have a dial where you could adjust it. I thought I was going to be able to adjust the lens by twisting it, so that way I can run it at a 45 degree or whatever. But no, that's not the case. Your image is going to be like this, okay? The horizontal will be turned sideways. Whatever degree you put it at, that's what it's going to be at. Okay, that was kind of a bummer. I also seen people 3D print mounts where they use this edge to slide it into a mount. That's not too good, because if you look closely, they're super shallow as far as those ribs are concerned on both sides. Super shallow, especially 3D printing. I mean, you got to compress those layers. It's probably a nail thickness, to be honest. Like, I could fit my nail in there and it's pretty close. Okay, so that's the Runcam, Scopecam, and that's not the biggest issue. My biggest issue was the pair button. I couldn't get this thing to pair, and right out of the box I paired just fine. When I went to go pair it a second, third, fourth, fifth time, there was an issue. This would not activate the pair sequence. So what was end up happening is I would have to push this at an angle to get it to pair. And that tells me either there's something wrong with the board or the alignment's off, okay? Or there could be an issue with the button. All right, so this definitely is going back. But before I take it back, I want to talk about the distance that it projects at. So I'm going to give you a video sample of what it looks like at a certain distance, and then I'll do the same thing with my phone without zoom at that distance, and then I will zoom in to kind of get it around the same distance with that many times zoom, so that way you could see the difference between this and a regular camera without zoom. Okay, 16 millimeters at a certain fixed length. Okay, so as you can see, I cannot pair it. There, boom, it clicked. At first, I couldn't pair it, okay? So it just kicked off for some whatever reason. Let's hold it again. There. So I had to pull over to the side and push down to get it to pair. Okay, so I have it on. I finally located it. Boom, it's hooked up. Okay. It's not Christmas, but as you can see, those giant nutcrackers are around 8 feet tall. Okay, that's 25 feet away. So we'll see what it looks like in the zoom cam, and then I'll show you what it looks like in my on my iPhone, and then zoomed in. Okay, so here's the zoom cam. So the app Runcam, it's pretty nice. First of all, you got to connect it to your Wi-Fi. Once you connect it to your Wi-Fi, then you could connect it through your phone. As you can see, this is what it looks like at 25 feet. Okay, let me see if I could rig it so that way you don't see none of that crap. So at 25 feet, you get a pretty good image. Okay, really nice and crisp. All right, let me see if I could give you a better image with me over there. Let me align this because I don't have it mounted on the gun right now, so it's gonna be a little bit light. So I'm walking over, and I'm about 6 foot, and this is what it looks like with my wingspan straight across. Okay, and the camera itself is about where my belly button is, and that's the sight picture that you're getting. Okay, so facing a little bit up, but that's because I have to have it propped up so that way you could kind of see the height here. All right, so this is what you get. Now let's see what the phone looks like, and of course I'll show you on the GoPro what it looks like on the GoPro in a side. As far as the app's concerned, the app is pretty like cleanly placed. Everything's really nice. All your layouts on your buttons are really straightforward. I like the interface here. Okay, super clean. I'll just go through these buttons for you so that way you can see what they look like. And you could also change your resolution here, right, your frame rate and stuff. Super straightforward. You could select all that stuff. Slow motion you could enable. You could change this landscape or what have you. You could push record. You have settings over here, so that way you could change all your settings on how you want the layout to look and stuff. Okay, it's pretty self-explanatory, and that's basically the layout of the app. So now let's scroll over. Oh, so we have a little bit more options here, so you can select that. And of course the sun's going down, so you got that golden hour look. All right, so you could flip it, but you can't rotate it. So if this was mounted upside down on your gun, you're okay. Okay, you could center, you could spot metering. So this app is really well thought out and really nice, straight, simple, to the point. And of course everything on here is really clean. Okay, I kind of want to say I like it better than the GoPro app, right? So now let's see what the phone looks like. This is what the iPhone looks like without zoom. Okay, at the 25-foot mark. All right, you probably see the barbecue in the way, but this is what it looks like. My wingspan. All right, and then of course your 8-foot high soldiers over here. I'm 6 foot, and this is what it looks like. Now we'll zoom in and see what it looks like with the zoom. So this is what it looks like with the 2x zoom. Okay, now we'll zoom into 3 times. So that's 3 times on the iPhone. All right, what the picture looks like. Here's 4 times, like so, okay. And then here's 6 times. So let's zoom in to 5 and then 6. So that's 5, and then that's 6. All right, so my verdict, I mean, if you have a phone that you don't care about, you know, you could use that as a zoom cam because all you're doing is getting a brief segment of each shot just to show your hit. So it's not like you're filming the whole thing on a zoom cam. So a phone will work fine. As you could tell, it looks pretty clear. But if you don't have a phone to spare, you know, because it's going to get shot at, then I don't recommend that unless you have a plexiglass front. And that might be something I might consider, because when I get a new phone, I might use my older phone for that purpose. Because I'm not too keen on this design. The plastic feels cheap, it's super lightweight. The aluminum would be way more robust. It's like they went backwards, okay? I don't like that. The mounting issue is not really an issue for me. My biggest gripe though on this whole thing isn't necessarily the build, it's the fact that I can't rotate this lens. And that's a big issue because I don't want to mount it on the side of my gun like that, right? Because I can't make that view horizontal. I can't level it out. I can mount it under my gun, or I can mount it on top of my gun. But the reason why I don't want to mount it on top of my gun is because I'm going to run a D-ball or a PEC 15 on the top, because I'm using it as a home defense option as well. So I need this stuff universal. I'm also thinking about making a quick detach mount for stuff like this, so that way, you know, you just slide it on and it clips and it locks in, right? And then you push a button, you could slide it out and get rid of it. So that might be something to consider, or even the case that this goes into with the replaceable lenses and, you know, the ability to paint it. Maybe I'll do something with that as far as quick detach, so that way you could just slide your camera out and leave that mount on there if you need to charge it, if you need to change out the battery, whatever it is, okay? If you want to run your gun home defense, I mean, and you don't need all this extra stuff at the end of the day, that's something to consider. That's going to complete today's video on this 4K Runcam zoom camera. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. It's greatly appreciated. If you want to see content like this and other content I'll be posting in the near future, especially the interchangeable covers, stay tuned for that. Hit the notification bell. And until next time, I'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks for watching.